Alright guys, in this video we're going to go over the total infantry breakdown of all the democracy factions and like the equipment and gear and stuff that the unit has and really what you're going to want to use them for while playing with them. So first we'll go over the police, which are super basic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, yes,
So as you can see, the police are the most basic thing. They all just come with pistols and a few of them will have RPGs, so it is the cheapest way to get some units that have RPGs if you're trying, like if you have a little bit of points left and you really need some RPGs. You could consider getting some police, but I mean, overall, they're not very useful. They're more just meat shields with a couple RPGs. I mean, you could always kill something and pick up their weapon, but I wouldn't recommend it. Alright, we're going to go over the normal militia now, which is 3 research points. They cost 90 per guy. They will come outfitted with shotguns for most of them. Some of them can have Kar 98s, and a couple of them will have RPGs. In all honesty, between the police and the militia, I wouldn't really recommend either of them. Unless you really need something to help fill your squads. Or like fill your army. I wouldn't really recommend the normal militia. If you want cheap RPGs, just go with the militia anti-tank, which is what we're going to go over in just a second. These guys excel at close range, but having to get the enemy this close in these battles is quite difficult without getting half your army picked apart. Even with the few select guys that will get Kar 98s, it's really just not worth it. But let's go over the Militia AT. Alright, we are going to go over the Militia Anti-Tank, which are much better than the previous two and are still pretty cheap. They're only 10 more than the Militia. They have better weapons. They have RPGs on every single one of them. So they're really good as a cheap anti-tank infantry. If you want the cheapest possible to have a couple RPGs extra in your thing, just go with the police over the Militia. In all seriousness. But let's take a look at the militia anti-tank. So the militia anti-tank units will come outfitted with Kar 98s.
Sir, yes, sir.
And UMPs. They will each have between...
Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And each of them will also have 3 RPG rounds. Or rockets. So the main use you're going to have for the anti-tank guys in your army is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be to take out vehicles and armor. Alright, now let's go over the militia assault units, which cost 4 research points, which early on are pretty decent general purpose infantry that I would recommend getting a couple of. They cost 125 each, which isn't a bad price point.
Sir, yes,
The militia assault will come outfitted with UMPs with sights on them,
sir, yes,
and they will also come outfitted with FALs, which will always have iron sights, which are both still very good. Close range, UMPs, great. Medium range, you can pick stuff off with the FALs, and some of them will have RPGs. Looks like about 1 per squad.
sir, yes, sir.
Which, I mean, it's better than having none with RPGs. But you're going to use these early on in the game as probably a general infantry, and you're just going to want to have a couple of them in there. Alright guys, now let's talk about the militia saboteurs, which cost 5 research points. They are 130, so they're only 5 more than the assault, which isn't too bad. Let's go over their gear, weapons, and what generally I would use them for in the army, if I were to use them. Alright, so the saboteurs are going to come with FALs. Some will have sights on them, some won't.
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's find one with a sight. Now, this one has a sight. And they will all have suppressors.
Sir, yes, sir.
Every single one of them. Will have suppressors regardless of the site that is on it. And a lot of them will have some RPGs too, which are, again, pretty useful. I would recommend using these over the riflemen. So early game, these are a good suppressed option, and they come with sights on their guns.
Enemy down.
I would maybe even use them as the player-controlled ones early on, just because of the suppressor. Try to help draw less attention to your the player. Maybe you can use them to take out more soldiers than if you had an unsuppressed weapon. So the suppressors are effective at drawing less attention to you as the player. So I would use suppressed ones, which will be the saboteurs on all the tiers, as the player unit, because you can pick off a lot of dudes when you're suppressed. Alright, so now we're going to go over the Militia Riflemen, which are 4 research points. They are 100 each.
Yes, sir.
So the Militia Riflemen will all come with Kar 98s.
Yes, sir.
Some will have optics on them, some will not. And some of them will have RPGs, which is also useful.
Eliminated.
These guys are pretty self-explanatory. They are just going to be used as a general infantry that mostly I would just have the AI control. Alright, now we're going to go over the Militia Snipers, which are 5 research points. They cost 135 each. They are more than the Saboteurs. And are they really worth it compared to the Saboteurs? Since they are more, they do have a much further range scope, but they are going to be unsuppressed. But let's take a look at them. So they will all come with scoped rifles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
None of them will have RPGs, but that's not what they're for. These guys are solely for picking off infantry at far ranges. Personally, I would have 1 squad of snipers in pretty much all my armies, personally just because I like using the snipers the most out of any unit in pretty much any war game. That's just personally me, though. In the actual game, I feel like these Saboteurs are better. Like, they still have a decently far-ranged weapon. The early game ones.
Engaging enemy.
And you will be suppressed. And these are actually a little less cost-effective, too, than the Saboteurs. And the Saboteurs have FALs, which are, you know, running 20-round magazines, not a 5-round clip. Alright, let's go over the regular soldiers. Every time you get to the next tier of soldier, you're going to have a giant price increase on the research values. So, like, you know, the little sub-dudes are less than actually getting to, like, the regular or special ops. So the regular will cost you 10 research points to get to. They cost 140. Depending on the difficulty that you're playing on, you might be able to get these early game or a little bit, a couple missions in. Still pretty early game, though, like, compared to how many missions there are. But let's take a look at them in battle. So the regular troops will come with M4s, M16s, and FAMASs, and a couple of them can have RPGs.
Sir, yes, sir.
They will not have any optics or suppressors on their guns. But you're going to use these as general purpose infantry, just like you would use the militia or the, like, militia riflemen. Except these guys have automatic weapons, they have a little bit better armor. They're obviously more expensive, but depending upon the difficulty you're using will determine how early in the game you can get them and how cost effective they are for you. On the easier difficulties you do get more money, so you can get them and utilize them a little bit earlier in the game. Once you're to the point of being able to afford these, I would definitely have multiple of these squads in your army, as they do have automatic rifles, which have decent iron sights, and they have much improved armor compared to the militia or police. And you can get an RPG in each squad also. Alright, let's go over the regular anti-tank, which cost 5 research points. They also cost 150 per unit. If you're to the point of using regular troops, having a couple regular anti-tanks in there is going to also be pretty effective. So the regular anti-tank soldiers will be a little bit different than the regular ones, because not only do all of them have RPGs, but you don't have the weapon variety. They will all have a FAMAS, but it doesn't really matter. You're using them to take out vehicles once you get to the point where you can actually be using these guys. Alright, now let's go over the regular assault, which are 6 research points, and they are 160 each. So the regular assaults will come with M16s or P90s, and also they have optics on their guns. Not all of them. I don't believe the P90s have optics on them. They have all the guardrails and everything on them, but... Oh no, this one has optic on it. Cool. And then you can get a couple RPGs in there too, which is effective. Generally speaking, if you're just going to use AI-controlled ones, I wouldn't bother spending the extra money on these, as the AI seems to be extremely effective with weapons that are just iron sight, even at far range. But if you yourself want to be using these weapons and these soldiers, then grabbing one squad of these wouldn't be bad, just to have the optic for the player. But these are just a little bit step up from the normal guys. Ooh, nice shot. Oh, nice shot. Alright guys, now we're going to go over the regular saboteurs, which I accidentally clicked already. They are 7 research points. My bad. They are 160 each. No matter what difficulty you're playing on, you cannot get to them because, you know, if you're on the easier difficulties, you get more research points and more money. You cannot get to them until after you complete at least one mission on easy, and then depending upon the difficulty and stuff you're on, the research you get and money you get is less and less. So you might have to do a couple missions before you can get to the saboteurs, but they're pretty much going to be the same as the assault and stuff, except, you know, they're going to have the suppressors and stuff. But let's take a look at them real quick.
Yes, sir.
So the saboteurs are going to have the same rifles as the
Yes, sir.
assault. You know, they're going to have their optics. They're going to have...
Sir,
Not all of them will have optics. See, this one has an iron sight. But they will all still have the suppressors, just like the previous saboteur we went over. They can have RPGs. And again, I would definitely use these as player units, because you're going to draw less attention from the AI, and you can pick off a lot of dudes with it. Alright, now we're going to go over the regular riflemen. They cost 6 research points. And they are a little cheaper than the other guys. So the regular rifles will come with an L40 with a little scope on it. It's not a far range, it's just a close range optic.
Yes, sir.
Or they could come with iron sights.
Yes, sir.
You also get a couple that have RPGs in the squad, so that can be kind of helpful. Personally, I don't find these to be very useful. I would rather just run the cheaper snipers, or run just regular troops for like 10 more resource. It's only a 5-shot gun. However, it has a magazine to reload, you don't have to reload one bullet at a time, so it's a little bit better. Alright, now we're going to go over the regular snipers, which are 7 research points. They are 170, which are, you know, they're just a little bit more expensive than, say, the saboteurs by 5. Still, I feel like I would take the saboteurs over it. This is going to have an L40 just like the other one is, except it's going to have an actual scope, not just like a red dot. But the same premise is going to stand for these as it does for the other snipers. You're going to just take out enemy infantry. Personally, I would just go with the saboteurs over these ones. I like playing as snipers too, but once you get to the later snipers, you have DMRs as the snipers, so you have like a SCAR and stuff like that. The bolt action, unsuppressed, doesn't really work as well as I would hope. I would wish I could get these suppressed. See, because they can just return fire, because I'm not suppressed. And they're effective if you hit the shots. I mean, if you really want to use bolt action rifles, it's still good. Depends on how you want to play, I suppose. Alright, now we're going to go over the Special Ops soldiers, which are 15 research points to get. They will cost 150 each, which relatively cheap compared to some other ones.
Yes, sir.
These Special Ops dudes will come with a couple different assault rifles, and then we'll also have RPGs for some of them. They also have better armor than the previous tier of unit. Again, these are just going to be general purpose units. That's just an upgrade from the regular. Once you get to the point to where you can afford these and you have the research done, get them. They have better armor. Weapon is pretty much the same as the previous tier.
Target eliminated.
Alright, so we're going to go over the Special Ops Anti-Tank, which is 6 research points, and we're going to go over the Special Ops Assault, which is 7 research points. So the Special Ops Anti-Tanks are 160, which, for the extra 10 points to have RPGs on all of them, and to honestly have a better weapon, is a step up. And then the Assault ones are going to be better than the Special Ops dudes, obviously. They have a better gun also. And they also have optics. But let's take a look at the soldiers.
Sir, yes, sir.
Alright, so the Special Ops Anti-Tank are all going to come with this gun. I, for the love of me right now, am brain farting on what this gun is called. They will all have this gun, though. It is much better than the previous one I just had. And then they're all going to have the RPGs, just like the normal one. So I'm not really going to go over these guys too much. For the most part, all of the anti-tank ones are pretty much the same as the standard soldiers, except they're going to have RPGs also.
Yes, sir.
However, the Assault here are going to come with M4s, they're going to come with G36s, which personally, absolutely love this gun. And then a couple of them are going to have RPGs, and then they're just going to have their various optics that they would have. Alright, now we're going to go over the Special Ops Saboteurs and the Special Ops Riflemen, which these were 7. I think these were 7, I just clicked it. I'm an idiot. Special Ops Riflemen cost 165. They have a way better gun than any of the other riflemen that we've previously covered. And then the Special Ops Saboteurs are also going to be pretty sick. Alright, so the Special Ops Riflemen are all going to come with a Mark 14 or MK14, which will have, you know, whichever little optic they've got on it. It's a very good rifle for a DMR. The Special Ops Saboteurs are going to come with a
Yes, sir.
P90 or M4, or that kind of looks like a mutant. But, you know, they're going to have their optic on theirs, they're going to have their suppressor, so they're just going to be superior to pretty much all the other ones.
Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir.
I really do like the Mark 14. It is a very cool weapon in most war games that have it. But when taking a look at the Special Ops Saboteurs, I mean, personally, the Saboteurs are just...
Sir, yes, sir.
I really just think that they're the best units. I think that was the mistake I made on the playthrough that I was doing, is I didn't even go for the Saboteurs. I was like, oh, who cares, you know? They're so far out of the way, who cares? Like, down the tech tree. Without actually realizing how impactful the suppressors are.
Under heavy fire.
By the way, earlier on the one that I couldn't remember what this was called, is called LA-80. And the other one that I said I thought was a mutant, that is a mutant. It's a Mark 18. It's a mutant. But we are going to go over the Special Ops Snipers now. 8 resource points, or research points. And then, right after that is the Elites. So we're going to go over the Special Ops Snipers, which are right here. Much better sniper rifle than the previous snipers. Like, it's not even close. These guys are actually good. Feel free to use them. They have scars. So, alright, so this is the Special Ops Sniper that I'm using right now. He is going to have a scar, which all of them have, which honestly, one of the best guns in the game. Very good. You can see the scope it's giving me, which is very good. Unfortunately, it's still not suppressed, which I would prefer it to be suppressed, but, you know, these are good. Alright guys, let's get into talking about the elites now, which are 15 research points. And I'll go over the elite anti-tank, because it's just going to be the same thing. So, they are 160 points for the elites. And here, I'll grab a bunch of those. And 170 for the elite anti-tank.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so the elites again are just... They're just going to be the next upgraded version of the, you know, basic infantry that you're going to be using. They just have the most advanced armor that you can get, which makes them take quite a bit of punishment. They will come with 2 different weapons, being
Yes, sir.
these two, the 2 that were there. And then the anti-tank ones, again, just going to be the same thing, but anti-tank versions, and they're going to have the LA-80 again. That gun was called the XM8. Alright, now we're going to go over the Elite Assault and the Elite Saboteurs. The Elite Assault cost 180. And the Saboteurs are 160, and they have AUGs, which are pretty sick. And they were 8 and 9 research points.
Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alright, the Elite Saboteurs right here. Actually, no, let's go over the other ones first.
Sir, yes, sir.
They can have the G36,
Sir, yes, sir.
the AUG,
Yes, sir.
and that looks like the XM8 again.
Yes, sir.
Can also have RPGs with a little bit of sights on them.
Sir, yes, sir.
The
Sir, yes, sir.
and these guys pretty much have the same stuff as them, except they have suppressors. So let's go kill some stuff. Alright, now we're going to go over the Elite Riflemen and Elite Snipers. And those will be the last 2 units we're going to go over.
Sir, yes, sir.
Alright, the Elite Riflemen come
Yes,
with
sir.
Mark 14s, just like the other last riflemen that we looked at before. They can have RPGs.
Sir,
They
yes,
just have the
sir.
most advanced armor.
Yes, sir.
And the Elite Snipers will also come with Mark 14s, or
Yes,
they will
sir.
come with Scars with scopes.
Yes, sir.
Can also have
Sir, yes,
RPGs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alright, yeah, but let's go shoot some stuff. I mean, nothing still has suppressors, even though you get it up to here. Actually, let's try.
Sir, yes, sir.
We shot the Scar with a scope. Let's go shoot a Mark 14 with a scope.
Tango down.
I forgot to say the Elite Snipers cost 175 and the Elite Snipers cost 185. I would probably go with the Snipers over it just because they can get Scars compared to just having Mark 14s with an ACOG or a holographic on it. Compared to them for 10 more points can have the Scar, which is just superior, and they'll have actual scopes so you can see pretty far with them. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Really help the channel grow. I'm going to do the vehicle video next, and then I'll do one for the communists also. Thanks for watching.